You're watching NBS Face Off. I'm Oscar Semoya Msoke with a young author here, Mr. Alex Kyokwijuka.
Sure.
So Alex, your book is structured, I would say, like a journal with entries going from day 1 to day 10.
Yeah, sure.
You took this from the 10-day MBA.
Sure.
From Harvard School of Business, and this had been donated to you by a former boss.
Yeah, Drake or Latch.
Yes.
Sure.
So do you credit the Harvard School of Business with giving you the idea?
No, I don't. The book that I read, the 10-day MBA, gave me a whole kind of summarized MBA program. Now, for me, having been struggling with a lot of course units at Makerere for my MBA, I realized that the 2-year program that I was doing could easily be summarized in this simple book. So that is how I picked the 10 days component. Later on, I would learn about the 10-day MBA workshop in Dubai, and I thought that if I were to structure my book to be done in 10 days, that someone can read it in 10 days, then it will be a good one. Of course, borrowing that kind of that kind of narrative of 10 days. So I said, let me do 10 chapters and call them days. Of course, to make it a little bit creative, so that it is away from the conventional writing and, you know, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 13, that kind of thing. So that is how the 10 days component comes into the title.
It is catchy, yeah?
Thank you. Of course, people have asked me, how do you even start a business in 10 days? And I have labored so much to explain that the 10-day component is talking about the structure in terms of chapters, which I've called days, to be a little bit different from the others.
It is catchy and it is well structured. It structures the book as well.
Sure.
And it structures the processes that you need to start a business.
Exactly.
But do you have any evidence so far that that can work? Have you had some feedback? Someone saying, yes, I did it in 10 days and this is what I did.
Sure. Yeah, I have, there's a gentleman called Herbert Ahimsiwe. When I started posting on social media that my book is out, there are very many people who could call me, hey, we need copies, and at some point I got challenged because I did not know how to get the book to them. Number one, I had not yet even approached any bookshop to have the book sold. So I made sure that I have a few young people who I give these books and they deliver them. So when Oscar says, I need a book, I am here at NBS at Media Plaza, I'll give this young person a contact, say, call Oscar, drop this book.
Yeah. That's how you start the distribution process,
exactly.
which you talk about in the book as well. But thinking, has anyone said, I read the book and I've done the 10 days
exactly.
and it works?
Exactly. So Herbert gets the book. And I had not even taken note, but after 10 days, he calls me and says, Alex, thank you so much for the well-thought book. I have actually finished it. Today is the 10th day ever since I got it, and I've actually read it in 10 days. And he said, it is such a rewarding experience reading your book. And I know that there are those others that have taken and they keep telling me, they keep promising me I will read, probably in the Christmas season and stuff like that. But at least I have had a few who have told me.
On the feedback.
Yeah,
so
they have read and it's possible.
The future will tell.
Exactly.
You co-founded an institution, Brookings Institute.
Sure.
But this was before you wrote the start a business in 10 days.
Sure.
So when you reflect on the starting of the Brookings Institute and what you have advised, what are your reflections? My
reflections are that, for instance, the Brookings Institute and the very many others that have started before, some of which have failed, they inform into the content and a few of the ideas that I share in this book. Because definitely, I have also made mistakes in the startups that I've done. And some of those mistakes are what has given me lessons that today I can share in this book. So of course Brookings Institute, for it, the way it started was a little bit different, but of course there are very key aspects in the startup process that I must adhere to, that even before I shared all this, I had to. For instance, things to do with like reaching out to the market to know what clients out there want. All of those are things that I did, formalizing, thinking about the idea and all
Some
that.
of the things you recommend may not even be affordable. If you say give a survey, but put some discounts to go with a survey.
Sure.
If you're starting with nothing, I perhaps
Sure.
many would not be able to be able to afford them.
Well, it all takes the determination, like I said. Once you know, Oscar, when you are, as a young man, when you see a young lady and you want to approach them for marriage, even if your pocket is empty, you must brave up and say, I must make the statement. So it's the same comes to starting a business. So even when you don't have anything, you look around and say, even if I don't have anything, I can start with this. And off you go.
Now, a few challenges that I'd like to put to you about the book and the ideas. Haven't you had accusations that the book, the advice is a little bit idealistic? That this is all you have to do and you'll start a business and lead to success?
Sure. Well, I have always put a disclaimer that the processes I share here and the ideas I share here are subject to any other factors. For instance, you can be thinking through your idea before you even start thinking of how to get stuff on board, and you die. You know, death is now a factor that you cannot control, and your business startup will end there because you have not even started it. But also, when we talk about certain other things, they are subject, for instance, to your personal characteristics, that you'll be there and then you find that Oscar is someone who, by all means, Oscar cannot talk to people. He can never speak. So even if you train Oscar on how many times on how to speak to people, to sell what he is, what his idea is, you definitely know that you'll be hitting a dead end, because naturally Oscar has positioned himself as someone who cannot speak to people. So, but these are, you know, putting all other factors constant. These are some of the very good processes structured in that way, that if you follow them, you should be able to set a strong and sustainable foundation for your business. And
even if it is idealistic,
exactly,
even if it is too good to be true, you're insisting that if you engage in those activities, you have a better chance.
Very much so. Because at the end of the day, number one, why I actually thought that this book would be the right time for me to have it out now, over and again, we've had people telling us Uganda is a very enterprising country. Very many startups, you know, are put in place, but how many of them survive? Very few survive. So I'm trying to think through and ask myself, what could be the problem? And of course, drawing from my own experience with what I have been doing, I know also with sharing with the people and the people I teach, the people I train, the people I consult for, I know for sure some of the underlying challenges that business startups meet, and that is what I'm trying to address. Yeah.
That's a good point here. But the biggest challenge is sustainability. So as we pointed out in the introduction, Uganda's credited in 2015, we were the most entrepreneurial country in the world. And with 28% of adults owning businesses. But 50% of these businesses didn't last a year. And probably most of them fell through further. And we've been looking at series of how many businesses in Uganda are 20 years or older. So I did not feel that the issue of sustainability was addressed in the book.
The issue of sustainability, Oscar, when you look at when you are building a house, the more time you spend and the more attention you pay to the foundation, the better the quality of the house. When you are starting a business, the more time, the more resource, the more attention you pay to how you start it and the foundation you lay for the business, the better the chance for its sustainability. Once you realize that the startup journey is a bit shaky, you'll be sure that that business will not survive. But once the foundation is stronger and you have followed through the processes and you have the basics, there are basic, you know, elements of a business for it to stand, then for sure there is no reason why you should not be able to sail through. For instance, I'll give you an example. If you have been able to come up with an idea and say, I want to sell second-hand shirts, and you have looked around Kampala and you have got a few people who actually want to buy the second-hand shirts, you have gone ahead to ask them, how much would you be willing to spend on each shirt? And they have told you, I'll be willing to pay 50,000. And you have 100 of them. There is no reason whatsoever why you shouldn't get your shirts, come, distribute them to these people, and get money. And you get people, other people on board like that. Such a business, for as long as you have clients, you have what to give them, they have the money to give you, this business has all chances to survive. So the sustainability...
But that's the kind of a problem for young people.
Sure.
Problem, you know, when you're driving on the roads, you come across someone selling chewing gum and so on, and they might follow all your advice, but that's all they can manage at the time.
Sure. And I want to think that they're making money.
Oh.
Oscar, there is no one who will get out of their home every day to go to a place where they are not making money. I have pondered several times, and sometimes I am forced almost to ask them. I want to ask them, do you actually make money? But you find someone holding, you know, 5 packets of chewing gum or PK, and they are selling on the road. But you ask yourself, if they were not making money, they would not be there. And you see business, however small or big it is, for as long as you are able to get a fraction, you know, you are able to get the sales you make minus the cost you use, and then you're able to get a balance, then that's okay, that's business.
Let's stop for a quick break.
Thank you.